Strict no to gummies. Can I give sugar-free gummies? No again, because they stick to the teeth. Adding milk mix is just a shortcut. It gives the parent a sense of, yeah, I did something for my child. All these liquids which do not conform to WHO recommended formula should not be allowed to have ORS on their label. It confuses the buyer. There's no role for calcium supplementation unless there is certain medical indication for that.
Vitamin D, for Indians especially, it seems like it's hard for us to get enough.
Yes, it is hard.
So if you give your child an iron supplement, then their body will stop absorbing iron from food.
It's a myth.
The root cause of the picky eating could be related to a nutritional deficiency. Do you think they are linked?
Remember one rule, no child starves himself or herself. If the child is definitely eating very less, that means there is some underlying problem.
Hey parents, welcome to another episode of the Modern Indian Parent Podcast. I'm Sanchita Daswani, a pediatric nutritionist, and every week we bring you episodes where we are helping you own your modern parenting choices, even if Nani and Dadi don't agree with them. In this week's episode, we are joined with Dr. Sivaranjani, who is an esteemed pediatrician based in Hyderabad. She has helped over 18,000 parents when it comes to training them in CPR and first aid. Not only that, but she is also a pediatrician on a mission to help bring awareness to parents when it comes to so much misleading marketing out there, whether it's from which vitamins to take, with supplements, regarding vaccinations, medicines for our kids when they are not well. This is exactly why she set up her social media page to help parents see through all this noise and really focus on what our kids need to thrive. And in today's episode, she will be joining us to break down so many of these myths to help us understand what our kids really need when it comes to nutrition and supplements so that we as parents can make better informed choices. Let's welcome her to the podcast. Hi, doctor. Welcome to the Modern Indian Parent Podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm good, Sanchita, and thank you so much for inviting me for this.
Doctor, you have created a bit of a stir on social media. So many of us have been watching your videos, and the awareness that you are bringing about certain topics that are very close to us parents has been really eye-opening. And today's podcast is really to help parents and just bring more awareness so that they can make better choices when it comes to all the options we have in the world today. And before we get started on the topics, we'd just love to know a little bit more about your journey in pediatrics and what has made you so passionate about spreading awareness about these topics.
At the beginning of my career as a pediatrician, I observed that there's a lot of misinformation that parents are getting. At that time, the social media wasn't so much of a thing, but Google. So I thought, okay, fine, I should do my bit to give the right information because parents deserve that, because they will want to know the right information. They will want to do their best for their children. So I thought, okay, I should at least try my best to give the right information to them. That's how I ended up on social media. Otherwise, I wouldn't have.
Yeah, because today as parents, we are very lucky that we have so much access to a lot of information. So compared to our parents' time, they just kind of went with the flow. Now we can really just go through, read a lot, but at the same time, it can have a lot of negative impact. One, overload of information, so much conflicting advice, you don't know what to follow. And then, of course, everyone giving advice, which then becomes what is true, what is not. So that's why we have an expert like you here today to clarify a lot. And I want to get started with the topic about supplements because, a lot of parents, as soon as their baby is born, they are given supplements to give their kids, from vitamin D to iron to calcium to multivitamins. So I want to talk separately about babies and then toddlers. So when it comes to babies, how important is it for them to take supplements?
So if it's a term healthy baby with normal birth weight, not low birth weight, normal birth weight. Okay, that is above 2.5 kg, 2.5 kg or above. There's absolutely no supplement needed except vitamin D supplement as per the recommendation of American Academy of Pediatrics and Indian Academy of Pediatrics. But from 4 months of age, if the baby is exclusively breastfed, from 4 months of age, we have to supplement the baby with iron till a stage is reached where the parent is very confident about giving iron rich food to the baby. This is the recommendation. Now coming to low birth weight babies. We have term low birth weight babies and we have preterms. So the guidelines are different for them. Okay, for term low birth weight babies, the vitamin D thing holds good and the iron we are supposed to start at 2 weeks of age and continue till first birthday, and multivitamins and calcium till the baby reaches 3 kg. Okay, and something very similar for preterms too. So calcium and multivitamin till they reach 3 kg and vitamin D till first birthday and iron from 2 weeks of age till first birthday. So little bit variation will be there with different pediatric academies, but more or less it's something like this. More or less, it's
Right.
something like this. And definitely, there is no role for multivitamin supplements forever and calcium supplements forever or anything. And after first birthday, based on their outdoor time and all, we can decide about the vitamin D supplementation. Coming to iron and multivitamin, there's no role for calcium supplementation unless there is certain medical indication for that. Even for iron supplementation, if the diet is good in iron, after a certain period, maybe from 9 months of age or 1 year, based on we talk to the parent, take the history and guide them about the right nutrition and slowly stop the iron also. That will be one-on-one basis. We have to talk to the parent. We can't randomly give some blanket rule about how long they continue iron supplementation. But about vitamin D till the outdoor time improves, we still recommend vitamin D supplementation.
Yeah, my kids were preterm. I have twins, and I remember because they were born 2 months early, the doctor said, "Look, you have to give them iron, multivitamin." And at that point, also, the doctor will tell you, and you're like, okay. But then I also didn't understand why. But later, when I did my research, I understood because they missed out on those 2 months in my womb, they didn't get enough iron from me. Because they were born early, they needed help, and that's that little head start to just catch up. But so it's nice to have that clarification, because sometimes we don't get enough time with our doctors to ask all these questions, and as you said, for every kid it's different. Now I want to ask about vitamin D. Now, of course, we would love for everyone to breastfeed. Now the situation is that a lot of kids are on formula. So if a baby is on formula, is vitamin D and iron still recommended?
So when it comes to iron, the consensus is that it's not needed as long as the baby is predominantly or exclusively on formula. Once we start complementary feeding, okay, that is when we introduce solids, and solids start becoming at least up to half of the baby's diet. Okay, so when they become a major portion of the baby's diet, and we see that the baby is not getting enough iron from the solids, then again we may have to intervene and add iron. Coming to vitamin D, the academies of pediatricians are divided on this. Okay, so Indian Academy of Pediatricians suggests that we continue vitamin D supplementation irrespective of whether the baby is on formula or is on breastfeeds. Whereas American Academy of Pediatricians again says either you give 400 IU per day or 200 IU per day. So there is no consensus on this.
Right, right. Yeah. I even read somewhere they said that if your child is taking less than 30 ounces of formula, then you should supplement with vitamin D, because then the formula wouldn't be enough. But I do know generally in India, most kids are on a vitamin D supplement. And I want to ask you this about vitamin D, because, see, end of the day, if we look at the food sources, it's mainly fish. There'll be a little bit maybe in milk or so. So realistically, and of course outdoor play is there, but obviously we're limiting it now, unfortunately. That's what the case has been. So vitamin D, realistically, for Indians especially, it seems like it's hard for us to get enough.
Yes, it is hard for us to get enough. Even if you're spending a lot of time outdoors, the pollution is so much that we are not getting the good rays onto our skin, the sun rays, which actually help synthesize vitamin D. And one mistake parents should never do is there are some parents who don't want to give the supplement. So what they do is they go and expose the baby to the sun like this. That's a very unsafe practice. Very, very unsafe. See, everything is
Got it.
about risk and benefit. Okay. So my baby needs vitamin D. Okay, I agree these syrups have some flavor, whatever. But which is safer, giving this or exposing the baby to the sun like this? No, that's not safe. So I'll go with this.
Right, right. Yeah, so many parents, once they hear the word supplement, they get scared. They're like, no way, we don't want to give anything. But then the fact is, you have to look at the facts. So the fact is that for us, especially if you're vegetarian and if your kid is not outdoors, and because of the pollution and the current situation of the world, the reality is that this is the best and safest option right now for our kids. And even us, so many of us adults are low on vitamin D. So it's something that we definitely need to be aware of, because vitamin D is so important in terms of sleep, in terms of development. Could you tell us why is vitamin D so important for babies?
Most important for bone health. Vitamin D is very important for bone health. But as you said, for sleep, for healthy hair, for healthy skin, everywhere it is playing a role. Even for healthy eyes, vitamin D has a role to play. So it's a very, very, very important vitamin in our body.
And when it comes to toddlers and kids, as our kids are getting older as well, would you, because I know in India, whenever I go to India with my kids, they always recommend those 60,000 IU, and they say take it for 3-4 weeks, give your kids once a week, and then they'll be good for the year. And, since we were talking about babies and moving on to toddlers, I guess the need would be the same for them to take vitamin D.
No,
Would you say it's one supplement? Yeah.
we are not supposed to give big doses without testing. The requirement is 400 international units per day till first birthday. After that, it is 600 international units per day. But for pregnant and lactating women, it is 2000 international units per day. We have to go by this recommendation only. If I do a blood test and I see that the person's vitamin D is lesser than what it should be, then only I am allowed to give these 60,000 units per week for 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, but not without testing, because too much vitamin D is toxic. It can cause problems. It can increase the strain in the brain, and it can cause certain problems even with the heart.
Yes, yes. So very important. So obviously, don't just give your kids just because we assume that is the situation. Always get tested
Let's not
first,
do
right?
anything with assumptions. Let's be
Yes.
scientific. Let's be objective. Let's go by recommendations, but do our own research. Just not let randomly because some neighbor is giving, I give. Let's not follow that kind of thing.
Understood. And when it comes to iron, now this is a very hot topic as well, because not even vitamin D, but I think iron is spoken a lot about, because there's a lot of side effects in terms of taking iron. So a lot of babies get constipated, and there's a lot of talk amongst parents that, oh, if you give your child an iron supplement, then their body will stop absorbing iron from food.
It's a myth. And one thing we should understand is growing children, especially the infants and the toddlers. There's a lot happening in the body as far as synthesis of hemoglobin is concerned. So, and during adolescence again. So they need lot of iron at this stage. Okay, so that's why we see that iron deficiency anemia is more common in the late infancy and in toddlers. Okay, so it's very important for us to focus on ensuring good intake of iron through diet as much as possible. And if we see that it's not happening, definitely we need to supplement iron, especially at this stage.
Yeah.
So
I know that
if I take iron supplement, the iron through the food won't be absorbed. It's nothing like that. And slowly we'll have to encourage good eating habits in such a way that we are able to stop these supplements, and the child should be able to get the iron through a good diet. And also, yes, iron constipates, and iron also causes gastritis, uneasiness. in the stomach. So it's better we balance it in such a way that we give it after, say, vitamin C rich food or something for better absorption, and avoid giving it after calcium rich food because calcium hinders iron absorption, and ensure your child doesn't get constipated. Rinse the mouth properly because many a times it leaves stains, and that again stops the parent from giving the iron to the child.
So basically, for iron, what I wanted to know is that again, with food, it's hard. Being vegetarian, sometimes our body doesn't absorb it so well, right? So, at what point would you say, or is there a way that we can see as parents? Sometimes there's signs, right? If a child is low on iron. Like, for example, for me as an adult, I know if I'm very tired a lot, my skin is looking a bit pale. There's certain physical signs we can see. Can we identify if our child is low in iron, or it has to be through a blood test?
So, the same physical signs that you had mentioned now, looking pale, that is an important physical sign. And symptoms like what you feel, fatigue, a child may not be able to express it. A toddler may not be able to express it to you that he's fatigued, he's feeling fatigued. So, what do you see? Irritability, crankiness, a lot of tantrums, hair, lot of hair fall, hair is brittle, it has lost its sheen, and you observe that he's looking pale or he's trying to eat chalk, mud, dust, whatever comes. There's a drop in appetite. So, all these are symptoms and signs of iron deficiency. So, then when you suspect, you can check his hemoglobin, and if the family can afford, we can do the serum iron profile to see how much iron is there, how much storage iron is there, how much iron is there in the blood, in the we call, we have something called transferrin. It is a protein which transports iron. So how much saturated it is. All these parameters we see, and based on that, like depending on the level of iron deficiency, we will guide the parents. And we should not stop there. Why is this baby having iron deficiency? Is he having some worm infestation? Is he losing blood somewhere? Or is it just because of poor diet? So all these underlying causes also need to be addressed.
And it's so interesting because a lot of kids, unfortunately, are picky eaters today. Do you feel that sometimes the root cause of the picky eating could be related to a nutritional deficiency, such as iron or vitamin D? Do you think they are linked?
Iron deficiency, as I said, one important symptom that you see is poor eating. And within 1 to 2 weeks of iron supplementation, you will see an improvement in appetite. And the other common cause for poor eating is constipation. Constipation. And the third thing is, I think parental expectations are too high. Okay, so they think that their children are eating less. Actually, toddlers generally they eat a little less only, and their growth is also happening during infancy. But parental expectations are high. So that is one more reason why a parent feels that his or her child is not eating well. Remember one rule, no child starves himself or herself. If the child is definitely eating very less, that means there is some underlying problem. So we have to address that, be it iron deficiency, be it constipation, or the child would have got so used to you being always running around him to make him eat that he will only eat when you do it. So I think it's very important to inculcate healthy eating habits and eating at the table, eating with the family, self-serving, self-eating, and self-regulation. All this should start in the very beginning. In that case, we don't really see picky eaters when you do that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because as a child nutritionist, that's what I'm trying to help parents with. I'm trying to lay the foundation right, and I realize it's not even what the baby does. I feel like I'm coaching the parents to make them
Yeah,
understand that this is
exactly.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Pediatrics is also 90% parents, 10% is only child.
I know. And it was so interesting because I saw this video on Instagram where this Harvard professor, what he said that it's not that babies and kids can't do something. It's not that they can't eat or they don't want to eat. They can, but something is coming in their way. And unfortunately, most of the time, it's us parents. And if we take a step back and instead of just being like, oh, they're not eating, let me just put the TV or run after them. If we take a step back as parents and think, why? Why are they crying as soon as they sit on the high chair? why are they throwing the broccoli? If we understand the reasoning, then we can actually help our kids have a better relationship with food. Because so many of us don't have a good relationship with food because we were forced to eat, we didn't get a chance to listen to our body. So I think it's exactly what you're saying. I think it's hard. I get it. As parents, we've all been there. You have those moments of frustration, but I think we need to focus more on the long term, right? That we want them to have a good relationship instead of them finishing those 2 bowls of dal rice every day so we are happy.
So this kind of pressure, you finish your plate. That's not fair. You served that food in the child's plate. He or she didn't decide that that should be the amount they want to eat, right? So let them serve, but plan it. Plan the variety, the quality of food. Parents plan quantity. Let the child decide.
The last supplement I want to talk about is calcium. So I know you mentioned that there really is no major need for it unless, of course, the baby's preterm or so. So when it comes to calcium, I know in the first year, breast milk and formula help your child meet the needs. Now, post one, if you have a child that I know they need around 700 mg of calcium from ages 1 to 4. So if a child doesn't really like milk or doesn't want it, do you feel dairy products are enough? Are they able to meet their calcium needs?
See, if the child doesn't drink milk, also, if the child is having curd and the child is having eating egg, then it's easy. The child would get enough calcium. And if not also, there are many vegetarian sources of calcium like almonds, ragi, green leafy vegetables,
Yeah, tofu,
even
there's
soya.
chia
Yeah,
seeds,
even
yeah,
soya. That's what
tahini.
tofu.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
All these
yeah.
are also rich in calcium, but ragi, though it's very good in calcium, the absorption of calcium from ragi apparently is not so great. You're the nutritionist,
Right.
so you would
Yes.
know that
Yeah,
better. So
yeah,
if a
yeah.
parent is not able to give dairy, at least she should make some extra effort to give calcium through a vegetarian diet. She will be able to, but a little extra effort is needed. Maybe then she should
Yes.
talk to you. Okay, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And but there is no role for giving supplements. There are very few medical indications where calcium supplementation is actually needed.
Got it. Got it. And I know this is one of your favorite questions or topics, I think, because I've seen it. In terms of supplements, what is the best form of supplement for a baby and toddler? Is it liquid form? Is it gummies? Because we've seen those gummies out there. I know you've done some videos on that. So could you clarify for us, what is the
No
best
to
form of
gummies.
supplements? Yeah.
Strict no to gummies. Gummies are very sticky. Sugar itself encourages growth of bacteria and they contribute to dental decay. But can I give sugar-free gummies? No, again, because they stick to the teeth. And obviously, it is easy for bacteria or anything to stick to the teeth and proliferate. The food particles will stick to the teeth because of the gummies. So, gummies are a strict no. And again, they're choking hazards also. And children like gummies. So, what they do, they go behind the parent and try to eat more. So, the chance of poisoning, vitamin poisoning is also very high. Toxicity is very high. That chance is also very high. And then their love for toffees and all also will increase. So, in any way, gummies, no. Then we have to choose between syrup formulations and chewable tablets. Chewable tablets. I'm not saying gummies. Okay, so based on the age, below 5 to 6 years, we should always prefer liquid formulations only. After that, chewable tablets are a fair option. And we should make sure that we rinse the mouth afterwards without fail.
Yeah, because honestly, these gummies, we've seen them all over the place. And also, from what I've understood, the gummies, the vitamins in it don't get absorbed as well compared to when you're actually having the syrup form. So, all of you listening out there, let's avoid the gummies. I know it's an easy way to get our kids to have it, but it's just, again, as you said, the risks and the benefits, it really just doesn't make sense. So, just
The
stick to
risks
the,
outweigh the
yeah.
benefits by a huge extent. Unfortunately, even some pediatricians and mom influencers and nutritionists are endorsing these gummies, and that really hurts.
That's why sometimes when I see these things, it's hard. And I think it's just that there's so much mismarketing that even these brands sometimes are convincing. They really work hard to convince you that it's safe, it's okay, and you do get influenced by it. And speaking about being influenced, let's talk about your next favorite topic, which is your milk powder, the milk mixes that we add in milk, and we've been seeing them all over. And I remember when my kids were, because they were premature, obviously they were taking time to catch up in height and weight. And I remember a doctor told me to offer one of these milk mix powders. So, I started adding it in, and after a point I realized, why am I doing this? Because end of the
Exactly.
day, it is a packaged product. As much as we want to believe it's all safe and natural and all of that, number two, I said, let me get to the root cause of it. And I realized it was my kids were low on iron. And I'm like, I'm adding this powder, which has like so many different things in it. I'd rather focus on what they actually need. And I think when you add these powders, again, as we were discussing, we're so obsessed with this. They need to drink a certain amount of milk, but now we know you don't need to have so much milk as a toddler. So, could you clarify for us, why are these milk powders not necessary for our kids?
They are not necessary because they are not necessary. Your child is getting enough amount of vitamins and minerals or whatever protein through natural diet. And as I said, okay, there may be phases when your child is not getting them. He's not eating fruits. He's not eating vegetables. Okay, you have identified the cause. Okay, iron deficiency. You have started iron. His appetite improved. Till the appetite improves, okay, fine. I will supplement vitamins. I'll give syrup based on the age or a chewable tablet, but it would be a temporary thing. And once my child's appetite is going fine, I will plan the food in such a way that he gets all the required nutrients through food. I'll offer 2 helpings of fruits a day. I'll offer 2 helpings of vegetables every meal. I'll offer nuts. And if it is a toddler, obviously I'll powder the nuts and give. I wouldn't give whole nuts to the toddler. So I will plan and my child will decide the quantity. And I won't keep my expectations too high or anything. I'll just let him decide. He's growing well, his skin is healthy, his hair is healthy, he's an active child, he's sleeping well, he's a happy child. That means he's fine. There's nothing else that I need to do. Okay, and just adding milk mix is just a shortcut. Like it gives the parent a sense of, yeah, I did something for my child. He's not eating anything, so I have added milk mix. Is that the way? Then you're teaching your child to take the shortest route possible. And we know that these milk mixes create lot of problem with with teeth, the dental caries, and also they get so addicted to this sweet taste that they crave for this all their life. And this is the starting point for obesity in future, for PCOS in future, for precocious puberty. So many problems because of getting your child addicted to drinking milk with milk mixes only. Also, now dermatologists are telling us that these processed foods are creating, and we know also processed foods, they are doing a lot of, giving a lot of problem to the gut. The gut microbiome is changing, and that's causing a lot of immunomodulation, and the risk of allergies is also increasing. So the more, the real food if we eat, that's better than these processed foods. And another thing I
Yeah.
am seeing is in India now, they're promoting jaggery containing milk mixes as sugar free or naturally sweetened. Jaggery is just unrefined sugar. But parents are made to believe that they're giving sugar free milk mixes to their children. And this is purely misleading marketing and exploitation of parents.
It's really exploiting their vulnerability, the fact that we are so nervous that our kids are not getting enough. And I have seen so many of these milk mixes where it is made from all fresh foods, like we put bajra and ragi and so all of that. So it's totally fine. Number one, you're giving your child something that has like 10, 12 grains. Can you imagine their poor gut? Like, how is your body supposed to process that? Number one. Number two, oh, we have a no sugar version, or as you said, there's no, like, there's this brand that sells pancakes, and how many of my clients are using it? And I've had to stop all of them because they're like, oh no, they're saying no sugar. And when we look at the back, it's jaggery. 100 grams of a pancake has like 20 grams of sugar, but parents don't even look at that because of the marketing. And as soon as I tell them, they're like, that's why my child is so hyper in the morning after that. Like, all of these things are all related. So it's kind of scary that even though it's in front of us or it's in the back, we as parents are still misled by the way they're saying it. So you're saying that instead of these milk mixes, if your child is, of course, because the fact is a lot of kids don't want to eat or they're going through these phases, you're saying get to the root cause. If they need some vitamins, give a multivitamin syrup that's really focused on that instead of adding these milk mixes, because also kids get really full with these milk mixes. They're not going to want to eat, right?
Yes, and there are some milk mixes where they advertise saying we have double the protein. Double of what? If I give one egg, my child is getting
What?
13 gram protein. Then I give another, say, I don't exactly remember the numbers, but 240 ml or something of milk, 7 grams, 19 grams is done.
That's it.
And
Yeah,
on
it's
top of
done.
it, my child is eating rice, dal, everything, and they also have proteins. Even rice has 2 to 3 gram of protein per katori. Okay, so you want to overload your child with protein by giving these milk mixes. Array, there is something called kidney. The kidney has to tolerate the protein. I mean, you can't overload the child's kidney with protein. There is a certain requirement, around 0.9 to 1 gram per kg
Yeah.
body weight. And if you are
Yeah.
into sports, maximum is 1.5 gram per kg body weight.
Yeah.
But in the mothers' heads that double protein, double protein. There is one brand called Grizzo. Double the amount of protein. Double of what? I don't know.
I have to say, I as a parent have fallen for all of it. I have given my kids a few of these brands because I thought, let me just give them that extra push, that extra thing. And just recently is when I actually even as a nutritionist, like I can even get misled. So I can't imagine even a parent who doesn't have time to sit and do this research what is happening. So I sat down with my kids and I said, look, there's no need for this. And instead what I do is there is one or two brands that are just more natural, very simple. And what I do is sometimes I'm like, you want to make a chocolate popsicle, we'll just add a little bit of this powder instead of adding like those other chocolate brands out there, the ones that we've grown up on. We'll add a little bit of that chocolate powder. You have a popsicle, but it's not something that you're having daily in your milk. And it's been a better thing because see, we have to do our best as parents. We're not here telling you that, oh, feel bad that you did this, because we've all done it. But now let's make better choices. So if you're using it as a scapegoat to just make sure your child gets some nutrition, it's rather you get to the root cause.
Yes.
Okay, so now I want to ask you about some medicines for our kids, right? So this is another topic you talk a lot about, which is the oral rehydration salts, so this ORS. And a lot of kids sometimes go through these situations where they're throwing up a lot or they have diarrhea. So obviously when that happens for a baby or toddler, the first thing parents do is they panic because, of course, if you are taking out a lot, that means the child has not gotten the nutrition for the day or they're not doing well. So what do parents do? Okay, they go for these tablets or they start giving them a lot of sugar, like sugar water and all fruit juices and all of these things because they feel they're lacking that. So doctor, could you clarify for us, first of all, what is the concern with the ORS, and what do you suggest parents should do instead in these situations?
See, if a child is having diarrhea, the child is losing water and salts from his gut. Okay. Certain amount of sodium and certain amount of potassium and other electrolytes. Okay. So we need to adequately replace them. So recommended formula ORS is designed in such a way that it replaces whatever is lost in exactly the same way without worsening the diarrhea. That is important, right? And that's why we need to rehydrate with WHO recommended formula oral rehydration solution. We have sachets available in India, 4.1 gram sachet and 20.5 gram sachet. If we buy 4.1 gram sachet, we dilute in 200 ml water, and if it is 20.5 gram sachet, we dilute in 1 liter water and we keep it for 12 to 24 hours and use it as needed. We cannot randomly mix it because it is formulated in such a way that this exact proportion has to be maintained. If we can't lay our hands on this, we can go for a WHO recommended formula Tetra Pak. Still we can't do this, we can prepare ORS at home. 1 pinch of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar in 200 ml water. or half teaspoon of salt and 5 to 6 teaspoons of sugar in 1 liter of water. We can prepare. This is about ORS. What are the other liquids we can give other than ORS? Not as a replacement for ORS, other than ORS. We can give soups, starch water, dal water, fresh buttermilk, not sour buttermilk, fresh buttermilk. These are the liquids. Mature coconut water is okay, but tender coconut water has high osmolarity, which may worsen the diarrhea. Mature coconut water has less osmolarity. Okay, right? And also liquids to avoid, fruit juices, they have very high osmolarity. They can worsen the diarrhea. Sugar water, date syrup water, honey water, all these things can worsen the diarrhea. And as my favorite topic, as you said, it's I can't even say it's favorite, it's become a part of my life now till I get that ORS off, 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 all these labels with lots of sugar in them. Okay, I don't think I can rest in peace. I mean, because
So,
these drinks worsen the diarrhea like crazy. As I said, anything too much sugar will worsen the diarrhea. It pulls out water into the gut and the diarrhea will worsen. So, definitely all these liquids which do not conform to WHO recommended formula should not be allowed to have ORS on their label. It confuses the buyer and they are refusing to do so, and because claiming that they have a disclaimer saying that they are not ORS, but the disclaimer is also because of our work, our persistence. Otherwise 2 years back there was no disclaimer before 2022 July. And who reads a disclaimer? Hardly anybody. Educated people only don't read disclaimers. Disclaimers are only to protect them, the companies, legally. So dubious labels cannot be protected by disclaimers. Okay. So this is not just my favorite topic. It's something which has, it's very important to me. Very important. Because it's a
so
matter of
how do
life and
we
death. Diarrhea can kill. Diarrhea, dehydration can kill. And no child should die because of drinking these liquids. But the
so
thing
how
is,
do
we
you know
can't
as a
prove because
parent?
there is no direct
Yeah.
correlation, right? The diarrhea worsens and the child dies. So you can't catch them.
So if we're in a pharmacy in India and we want to get the right ORS, you said that how do we distinguish? You're saying that now the ones that aren't, they have a disclaimer. How do we know?
You have to look for WHO recommended formula ORS on the label and read the label properly, the instructions. Because if you buy the salts, you have to read how to mix them. So when it comes to vomiting, the parent will be in a rush to feed the child within half an hour, 1 hour. So that is one mistake we should not do. If you try to feed, again the child will vomit. Again the child will vomit. Give a break. Even if your child doesn't eat anything for 24 to 48 hours, your child will not have any problem as long as you hydrate your child with the appropriate liquids. So give a break. Just let the child rest. Just wash his face with water. Keep him in a cool room, soothing cool room. Give a break. And after some time, maybe after half an hour or something, you give sips of liquids that I had suggested just now. One sip every 5 to 10 minutes. One sip every 5 to 10 minutes to calm. If the child wants to sleep, let him sleep. And when he wakes up again, start this process only. Only liquids, till we are sure that the child is not going to vomit. Once the appetite comes back only, please offer solids. Real hunger comes back. And when the child is continuously vomiting, continuously, non-stop, then it's better you rush to the hospital.
Okay. And when a child is vomiting, just clarify for me, do they need the ORS as well, or it's only for diarrhea they need it? And then for
See,
vomiting, it's just regular liquids?
if it is just 1 or 2 vomits, many children don't like ORS. So the ORS itself may make them vomit. So as I said, just give some break, some rest. Then the liquids which I had suggested earlier, sip by sip, hmm, pleasant liquids which the child would like. But when there are 3 to 4 vomits and you are not able to reach the hospital also, then one sip every 5 minutes, one sip every 5 minutes of ORS is very important. When the child doesn't like, he will be so thirsty that little bit he will drink. That is the way our body is made. So he will drink.
When it comes to babies, sometimes when babies they eat certain solids, they might throw up, but then they're fine right after, or if they have certain milk, they throw up. Does this advice apply same for babies as well, or it's different?
No, see, one throw up or two throw ups, we don't have to do anything. We just wait for some time and like nurse the baby and all, baby will be fine only. You trust
Exactly, yeah.
your intuition as a mother. You will know what to do there at
Exactly,
that
yeah, yeah.
point.
You're
And
right.
also during diarrhea, please do not stop breastfeeds.
Thank you, doctor, so much for your time. I think this episode has been very also simple and easy to understand. And for all the parents out there, just don't follow any advice you see on Instagram. Check with your doctor, have a discussion, understand the reasons why you would consider giving something to your child, and keep it simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to add all these package and process stuff in your child's diet. And let's make better choices as parents. And we will continue to have doctors like you out there who help us with the situation and the vulnerability so many of us go through. So thank you for your time and for spreading all the knowledge and for all that you do.
Thank you, Sanchita. And it was very nice talking to you. And yeah, we need nutritionists like you to guide parents. Yeah,
Thank
honest
you so
and
much.
clearly like share your experience and say, okay, this is now how it is. As you said, we all have made mistakes, but we should be open for change.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Bye.